What's up, duelists? You know how these videos go. I built a brand new deck. I took it to a tournament. I've got you guys tournament matches. I've got you guys, some sick combos. But first things first, I gotta show you guys something that I've been working on over the last few weeks for RBET Denver. Now, normally, I like to work with other companies to produce mats because they do a great job. Yugioh does a great job. Feel Good Gaming does a great job. Everyone I've worked with in the past does a great job. You know what I'm saying? But everyone was kind of busy, and I wanted to give a crack at it, see if I could make them myself, and that's what I'm going to show you guys. You'll notice the cutting board here. We've been hand cutting these mats. I want to give a huge shout out to the people I worked with on this project. There's Kyle, of course, who put a lot of us together, Damien, who brought a lot of us together, of course, Marco on the artwork, Efrain for helping us clean up the edges tomorrow, lol, and then, of course, last but definitely not least, Andre for helping with the print process. Let's go ahead and take a look at these bad boys. First things first, we've got this. This is the Royal, light blue on Royal. You'll notice the Dragon of the Ice Barrier. You know the one. Attacking the castle where decrees may be implemented. So this is going to be the one of the top cut mats from for RBET Denver this weekend. If you haven't signed up already, check the description below. Like I said, hand cut, hand printed, you know the vibes. Made by yours truly, very high quality polyfiber material. You guys know the vibes. We don't do it bad up here. This is high class only, high dollar only. The next is going to be the Cream on Ocean. Okay, check out the Cream on Ocean. A lot of people have been liking this one. A lot of people who have showed this too. They say it matches the color scheme of the monster itself. This is going to be the another top cut one for this weekend's tournament in Denver. And then last but definitely not least, we've got the multicolor first place, champion mat for RBET Denver. So if you win this weekend, this is going to be part of your prize. This is a beautiful cut. Just kidding. The cut still needs to be cleaned. But beautiful print. Very, very proud of this. It took a lot of effort. I went to a ton of different warehouses to make sure we had the right fabric. I spent a lot of hours over the last 2 months making sure that we could get these out and have them be as high a quality as possible for you guys, because I know that like you guys are not going to settle for anything less than the best. And these feel like the best. We stress tested the material. We make sure the material is good for about 200 bajillion matches. We tested it extensively over the last 2 months to make sure it wouldn't fall apart on you guys. The cards feel nice on it, as you can see. Easily flip your cards over. Easy stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Beautiful print works well. The artwork, you guys love it. And the only way to get these is going to be RBET. So if you want them, you know where to go. Check the description below. Let's get into the deck. Most of the people here are just like, Keegan, shut the fuck up. Which is valid, you know. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of this. I think it's really cool. It took a lot of work, and that's probably why I haven't been posting as much. But if you guys like them and you want me to do more for things like RBET, or maybe you want me to make you guys some to buy or something like that, just let me know in the comments below, and I can now do basically anything. All right, this deck is a combo deck. It's one that I've been working on for a while. I have tried different variations of it on the channel before, but we'll just get into it. The main core is going to be Light Swarms. So there's 3 Lila. Lila helps you break back row. Royal Oppression can be difficult for this deck to deal with. 3 Jane. Jane being a warrior actually matters a lot for this deck. This is a warrior, a light warrior deck. And then 1 Gareth. Gareth also a warrior. Very important. These monsters are strong. They help you in the Gladiator Beast matchup. So like I said, this is a light warrior deck, and their typing does matter quite a bit. We got 1 Lumina to pair with the Gareth. A lot of the time I do side these out. I am not playing JD, so the unique names don't actually matter. If Lumina's bad in a matchup, we can easily cut it. There are some other synergies with Lumina, which we'll get into in a second. I was playing 1 Wolf for the tournament. Normally this is a different card. I'll explain that when we get to it. And then last but definitely not least, 2 Raikou. These Raikous will help us play through back row and play through annoying threats like Vanity's Fiend or Duke Frog. Okay, so for the core of the deck, there's 3 Freed. This guy's very important. He's a warrior, and he acts as your primary source of removal for this deck. He allows you to get rid of something that's in your way, whether that's a Sirocco, an Armed Wing, an Armor Master, a Caius, whatever, and then sets up for your big combo play, which is going to be DDR or return, that sort of deal. 2 DD Warrior Lady, more removal. 2 Honest, more removal. All of the monsters are removal. It's nice that DD Warrior Lady is also a light warrior that you can mill. That works for Freed, and it works for the Phoenix Blade, which we are playing. 3 Soul of Purity and Light. This card is a special summon, and Cyber Dragon, as well as Plague, somewhat of a special summon. These 5 cards allow you to extend beyond the normal summon, not through DDR, and they allow you to apply pressure and set up your Banish Zone for return and DDR. 1 card Trooper is going to be the last monster, and that's going to be it. This is a very aggressive deck. You're not trying to go long, you're not trying to drop JD, even though JD probably could fit into a skeleton similar to this. I didn't take the time and effort to make it fit into a deck like this. Most of the time, you're just trying to special summon like a Soul of Purity and Light, a Freed, and then maybe DDR one of these back, and then have an Honest for the game shot. So yeah, that's pretty much the goal. Get 3 monsters into play, open up the board with the Freed or the DD Warrior Lady or the Honest, and then connect with enough damage to close the game out. Alright, for the spells, 1 Reinforcement of the Army. Like I said, it's a warrior deck, so this card acts as pretty much everything your deck could possibly want for. It's 2100 with Jane, it's a removal with DD Warrior Lady, or it's a Monarch style removal effect with Freed. So this card does a lot of roles. It also helps you search for Gareth if you have the Lumina set up. 1 charge, self-explanatory, 3 recharge, self-explanatory. This is one of the best cards in the format, and I think it's definitely worth maxing in a deck like this. Then for your extension, you play 3 Hidden Armory, 3 DDR, 1 Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. Divine Sword Phoenix Blade is an interesting card. I was actually playing 2, but before the tournament I couldn't find my second one, so I added 1 Wolf instead. Wolf kind of acts as a similar role of extension in that spot, or like a good mill in that spot, but I would actually try to recommend playing 2 Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. I think it might be worth playing. Milling Wolf did come up for me a couple times though, so I might try to find room for 1 Wolf one way or the other. But yeah, Divine Sword Phoenix Blade is a repeatable discard fodder. If you've ever played Pokemon, it's very similar to the Execute from Plasma Freeze. It allows you to use DDR basically for free. It also allows you to use Lumina for free, and then it allows you to use 2 of your sweepers, 2 main deck Lightning Vortex for free. So you get to play Regeki in this deck, which is really cool, and it's virtually unconditional as long as you have access to the Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. DDR works well with Freed, Sopal, Divine Sword, of course, and then your opponent removing your monsters. Like you summon Lila, your opponent bottomlesses your Lila, and then you DDR back to Lila, break their back row, and then you can continue to play, which is really nice. And then best card in the deck, Return from the Different Dimension, and of course Heavy Storm. That's going to be it for the main deck. It's all gas, no breaks, quite literally. The Phoenix Blade goes crazy. It works really well with Vortex and DDR. I'm super happy with this. I actually want to try this engine out more and more. But yeah, it feels like such a crazy deck. You guys are going to see some of the combos in this, and you're going to be like, whoa. It may not look like much in the deck profile. It may look like a bad Lightsworn deck with no JD, but when you see it actually pop off in the tournament, I promise you it's worth the wait. Super worth the wait. Stick around for the matches, right? Let me show you guys the extra deck and the side deck real quick, and then we can get into things. All right, extra deck, pretty standard, pretty straightforward. 1 Armory Arm, 1 Catastor, 1 Android, 1 Uruk, 1 Tempest Magician. Tempest Magician does come up. Plague with Lila for game shots. 1 Bryonic, of course, the boy on the mat. You have to show it off. Oh my gosh. There he is. There he is in the flesh. Oh my gosh. Anyway, 1 Goyo Guardian, 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Stardust Dragon, 1 Avenging Knight Parshath. This guy also comes up for game shots. You can switch things to defense, pierce it, and use Honest to attack for big damage. 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend, 1 Colossal Fighter, 1 Red Dragon Archfiend. I am considering cutting this card or this Mistworm for second Chimera Tech, because the second Chimera Tech actually comes up quite a bit. You summon Cyber Dragon very frequently in this deck, and there are circumstances where you'll have Cyber Dragon in play from return, where you'll want to make another Chimera Tech before the end phase, basically. And then for the side deck, getting into the side deck, 1 DD Warrior Lady, extra removal against Blackwings, helps you play through Kalut, extra stuff against Lightsworn, helps you play through Honest. 1 Aaron for battle recruiters like zombies. 1 Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. He helps protect your grave. He's a way to crash with other Kaikus. Kaiku actually gives this deck a huge problem. It's probably like public enemy number 1 for this deck. 1 Thunder King runs over Kaiku and prevents stuff like gadgets, which is rising in popularity. 1 Cyber Dragon and 1 Gores. I'm not really sold on the Gores. He could probably be cut. I did try him in the tournament, but I wasn't super happy with it. Same thing with the Kaiku. He didn't really come up all that much, but I did like these 4 monsters quite a bit. Actually, the Aaron didn't come up either, but Aaron, in theory, is good enough to have. For the spells, I'm side decking Brain Control for game shots. I'm not sure if that's worth it. 3rd Vortex, I was bringing this in a lot. Might be worth just maining all 3. 1 Soul Release, I don't think I ever brought this in. but I didn't play against Frogs or Licehorn, so it makes sense. One Giant Trunade and one Space Typhoon to help play through back row. I think the Giant Trunade could probably be switched. This deck plays through back row really well already. One Dust Shoot, one Threatening Roar, and two Royal Decree. I'd probably switch the Trunade for another Threatening Roar. Threatening Roar was very good. Either that or like a Mirror Force or just Torrential, something that clears a board. That's pretty much it. The sideboard is very straightforward. The only thing that's like kind of unique or interesting is the Thunder King, which I think is not played a lot in a lot of decks, but it's pretty good in this deck. Gives you defense against certain things like Dark Armed, and it's easy to loop it with DDR and Freed, so it's good to have access to like a loopable special summon negate in some matchups, like against Quick Draw or against Machina. It becomes an MVP, and it's very easy to find it by just milling into it or whatnot. So that's pretty much it. That's the deck. Let's get into the gameplay, and leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe if you like it. And if you're fucking with the mats heavy, I'm excited to show you what we're cooking for Chicago, because we self-produce those as well, and I'm very, very proud of them. So yeah, big stuff coming, and I'll see you guys in the matches. All right, Duelist, gameplay time. But before we get into that, if you wanted one of those beautiful mats in the intro, check the description below. Come to RBET Denver this weekend. If you're within driving distance, if you want to full send it, come through. Also, there's insane pricing on top of that, cash pricing, and there's also, just cool entry perks. I believe we're doing stamped entry promos as well. It's just going to be a great event. It's going to be a really good time. The event center is cool. PPG is great at running events. It's going to be a blast. Let's get into the tournament replays. All right, first tournament match is up against Gladiator Beast, which is normally a bad matchup for Licehorns. One thing that this list does sort of fix is it's like pretty good into Gladiator Beasts because we have triple copies of Jane. We got that Soul of Purity and Light. We also got that Freed, which helps against them, provided they don't Chariot loop us instantly. And we've also got Cyber Dragons and Returns and DDRs, so we can apply a lot of pressure through like Ready Ari or through something like a Chariot loop. So it's not the end of the world. Plus DD Warrior Lady plus Honest is a nice setup versus Gladiator Beasts. All right, so our opponent starts off with normal summon Equest. He's got a little bit of a glare. I'll try to narrate as well as possible. So Equest set 2. We've got a draw for a turn. I am playing on a test cut of the fabric we use for the mat. I've been testing it for the last few weeks, like I said, and it has held up very well. Normal summon Jane. That's going to be met with Bottomless Trap Hole. Unfortunately for me, I believe at this point I had Hidden Armory in hand, so I couldn't DDR back the Jane this turn. I would have maybe had to Hidden Armory this turn and then just take the 1600 hit. He normal summons Murmillo. Attacks for 800. I'm going to get the life. May like flash forward a little bit here. So yeah, tags out the Murmillo. Hits for 16 as well. Tags out the Equest. So he's going to go for double the Quarry here, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's just going to be pretty difficult for me to beat 2 Laquaris. I think I have Hidden Armory in hand, so that's going to make it a little difficult. The glare is really unfortunate here. I maybe should have set up in a better spot, but I didn't really test it with my opponent's cards in play because my opponent wasn't there, obviously. So yeah, I'll try and make sure it's super clear. But yeah, so 2 Laquaris, both 2100 in play on his side of the field with 1 back row. I draw for turn, and I've got some tough decisions to make. I think I need to start piecing something together here. I think for quite a bit. I do have the Divine Sword in hand, so I think I'm going to try to DDR back the Jane and then Divine Sword onto it so it can't die. So I go for that. Hidden Armory, mill 1. We hit our return, which does suck because that card's very good, but it's not that good into active Glads because they can tag into Bestiary and just blow it up. So yeah, it's not the best there. It's kind of just like a pay half your life point Threatening Roar against Glads. Usually get sided out, especially if we're going second. Grab the DDR. DDR can usually pitch the Phoenix Blade, but unfortunately here we need that Phoenix Blade to make sure our Jane is stronger than the Laquari. So yeah, I believe that's the conclusion I come to here in a second. Yep, there's DDR pitch Wolf. I did end up drawing the 1 Wolf. Would have been a second copy of Phoenix Blade. So Phoenix Blade's a much better card to pitch if you draw it than Wolf, but if you do mill Wolf, it's pretty insane. I can't deny that milling Wolf is very good. So we equip the Phoenix Blade. Jane goes up to 2400 on the attack, and you can't Chariot this because Jane does not activate. So that's going to be able to clear at least one of the Laquaris. Enphase attempt to mill 2. He's going to use Chariot. There goes the Jane. I already know that's coming, so I just pick up my cards before he even flips it. He draws for turn. He's got, I believe, Secutor Test Tiger, and I think we go to the next game. I think that's going to be the vibes here. Yeah, there's the Secutor. And then, unfortunately for us, there's a Test Tiger, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen enough. Let's just go next. So, right off the bat, the deck is not feeling too great, but we have a lot of great sideboard options for Glads, and I'm confident in this deck's ability to pull off some crazy turns, especially because we get to go first this game. So, let's go ahead and skip forward through the sideboarding portion and get to the start of game 2. So, this is going to be game 2 up against Gladiator Beasts, and let me tell you, this one is crazy. So we start off with Charge the Light Brigade. We mill Phoenix Blade, which is nice, and we mill Wolf. So both of our good mills, not counting Plague, get hit here. Charge, we're going to search, I believe, for Jane. I did side out Lumina in this matchup because Lumina is kind of a weaker card. So I didn't get, I don't have Lumina to grab here, which is fine. Honestly, Lumina wouldn't even really be the grab. It might be the grab, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think I go for the Jane because I want to bring out Wolf in the normal Jane and get warriors going for that Phoenix Blade. The more warriors you can get into circulation, the better your Phoenix Blade gets. Wolf gets special summoned out. So we're just up. Solid card there. Charge Mill Wolf will never not be amazing. It's like one of the best things you can do in Edison format, so feels good. Cuts the deck, passes it back. We've got Normal Summon Jane, and we've got set, I believe, Threatening Roar. Emphase Mill, Raikou, and Thunder King, which we did side in to help take on the Geyseris or the Test Tigers, that sort of thing. And it runs over all their guys. Here comes Special Summon Cyber Dragon. That's kind of annoying. I could let the Jane die. Had I milled a warrior, I may have let the Jane die here. Then he activates D-Fissure, and I'm just like, bro. D-Fissure Glads. Thankfully, our deck's actually probably one of the best decks into D-Fissure because we do have those DDRs. And I did, I think I sided down on Hidden Armory because of the potential for D-Fissure. Hidden Armory can't be activated if D-Fissure is in play because it mills the top card as a cost, and you don't know if that card is a monster or not, so you can't reliably pay the cost. I'm going to go ahead and Threatening Roar as he enters the battle phase, and yeah, he's going to set some back row here. I believe it is 1, 2, and 3 back row, and just pass the turn back. We draw for turn. I forget what we find here. I think it was Royal Decree. I think that's what we drew. I normal summon Freed. I priority activate the effect. Banishing for cost. Opponent tries to read Freed. I'm trying to just clear that Cyber Dragon and set up my Royal Decree, pressure free. And he's going to chain Light Mirror. So now he's got the biggest monster in play, tied with my Wolf. And he's got Light Mirror, and he's got D-Fissure up against my deck, which would be really insane. I'm not going to lie, it would be really insane, but we're going to have to commit ourselves that Royal Decree. I do have a Lightning Vortex in my hand I could go for. I could attempt to crash the Wolf. I could attempt to crash the Jane. I believe I attempt to crash the Jane here. I think that's the play I go for. Because if he Mirror Forces me, then, he got me, right? Is that not what I do? I might just pass. Yeah, I might just pass. Emphase Jane Mill. Oh, yeah, but that's negated by Light Mirror. So, there we go. Yeah, no mills. All right. Yes. Moving on. It's his turn now. He's thinking about the back row. I think he just kills the Jane. I remember correctly. Kills the Jane. Which is kind of not ideal, but also kind of fine. I think I have another Jane in hand. Draw for turn. He's only got 2 cards left in his hand. He doesn't commit a Gladiator Beast, which is nice. Probably has Glads that are just too weak to get over the Freed or the Wolf. Understandable. Probably doesn't want to commit into something like Mirror Force. Although I have a feeling he has a Starlight Road down. People usually do side in Starlight Road against Lightsworn, which is, obviously very good against our Lightning Vortexes, but not very good against much else besides Heavy Storm. So that's the nice thing about not playing JD or Celestia. We're never accidentally running into a Starlight Road. Anyway, I think pretty hard here because I do just want to clear the Cyber Dragon, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. And the best way to do it is going to be Normal Summon Jane. So Jane gets Normal Summoned, and my opponent is thinking here. And I think he goes for the Bottomless Trap Hole, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think he goes for Bottomless. Oh, Torrential Tribute, which is going to be met with our Royal Decree. So little +1 for us, which is nice. Royal Decree is not the best card against Glads, but It is so good when you have the biggest monster in play, because then they have to put together a lot to tag into Bestiari in order to deal with the Royal Decree. So ask him his number of cards in hand. I was thinking very hard here because I think I had an extension here. I think I had an extension play. I think I had DDR in hand, but I elected not to go for it. I just go for Jane Crash, and then I attack for 38. And that's going to be, I believe, first damage for the opponent, dropping him down to 4,200. Then I pass the turn. Kyler's going to draw here. He's going to... I think he finds a Laquari. I think he's actually able to get out of this Royal Decree situation. So he summons the Laquari. He could tag into Murmillo, pop both our guys, but then that leaves him in a terrible position, because then I could banish his Murmillo with any normal summon, and his traps are still shut off. So he's basically forced to tag into Bestiari, throw away his Bestiari, and hope that he can top deck some trap cards to stabilize, and that the Light Mirror is stunting my growth enough for it to actually matter. But it's still a tough position to be in, especially if his other back row is a blank, which I'm presuming it is, because he used Torrential on the Jane summon. So here comes Bestiari. Bestiari is going to pop the Royal Decree. And yeah, he's very, very frustrated that his Bestiari is going to get banished here, if I remember correctly, but such is life. Sets a new back row and passes a turn back. Torrential is gone, so I have a pretty strong read that the card to the left of D-Fissure is Starlight Road, and the card to the right, or to the far left, is going to be, I don't know, maybe a single point interaction. So I decided to go for, I think, one of my reanimation cards here. Yep, DDR. It's going to pitch Plague, and then we are going to target, I believe, Thunder King Ryo. We could bring back Jane, but Thunder King Ryo can't be run over by Laquari, and that's kind of my key concern here. Is just, can our monster be run over by Laquari? I do have Honest in hand, if I remember correctly. So I check the life real quick. I forget what's popping here. I attack over with Thunder King. I attack directly with Wolf. And that's going to drop the opponent to 1,700. I just pass the turn. DDR doing the Lord's work here. Just locking out the opponent for making his plays. It is unfortunate we can't activate Thunder King Ryo under Dimensional Fissure, but looks like he's going to draw another card that doesn't really line up well into our board, and he's going to concede game 2. So with consistent beater pressure into some passive floodgates, we were able to sort of command that position. I think we would have had a much harder time. That game had, well, I don't know actually, because my hand was really good. I had like Honest and like, I think I had Sopel. I had some cards that played really well if I had my graveyard. So the D-Fissure was actually doing something, but it wasn't applying enough pressure. I was the one applying pressure, and it made it difficult for him to like mount counter offenses. So even though I was trading for functional cards in my hand, the individual card quality for me is higher because my monsters are just inherently stronger than the Glads. So he needed to find not only the D-Fissure, not only the Light Mirror, but the spot removal as well, and a monster just to deal with my one normal summon. So he needs 4 cards just to deal with one normal summon. It's not very good economy from Glads, and I think that's why this deck matches up a little bit better into Gladiator Beast than your average Lightsworn deck would. Not saying that it's a great matchup or anything, but I'm just saying that it matches up a little bit better. All right, moving on. In this game, he gets to go first, so that changes a lot of stuff. But for me, I get double Cyber Dragon, I get Brain Control, I get True Nade, I get all that stuff, so we can just try some stuff out. Here comes Laquari, and there's that turn 1 Dimensional Fissure. So back-to-back games with that Dimensional Fissure, and it's going to make things really, really complicated for us because naturally I want to draw an out to this. So Solar Recharge, banish the Wolf in hand, going to banish Kaiku off the top, and mill a DDR. Unfortunate, would have loved to draw DDR. I believe I don't draw DDR here, unfortunately. I know I have another Recharge in hand, and I'm considering using it. I think that's the big thought process. I think I have Recharge plus Jane. I'm not sure if I want to pitch the Jane or not because Jane beats Laquari. So if the Jane can come down and just beat this Laquari, let's say it's a Chariot or something like that, then it might be worth it to just do that. I also have a Threatening Roar, which could be useful in case he goes for like some Psychitor shenanigans. Here comes Jane. So I decide to normal summon the Jane and attack. And that's going to be met with Compulsory Evacuation Device on Jane. I am super happy to see that. That's a free +1. It also means that my Jane is potentially live for the recharge next turn, or potentially can run over this Laquari if he doesn't scale it up here. Looks like he's going to try to scale it up here with the Bestiari tag into Geyserus, so he's going to reveal the Bestiari, tag his 2 Gladiator Beasts into Geyserus, and attempt to target the back row. I'm going to chain the Threatening Roar, and so he's like, oh, now I actually have to shuffle my deck. So yeah, Threatening Roar putting in some work against Glads. I'm not sure if I should have set the Threatening Roar there, but I was scared of a Secutor play. Tiger into Secutor there would have been really difficult for us to beat, so I think it's fine. Losing it is okay. It's not the end of the world. He sets a new back row, which complicates things, and passes a turn back because he can't attack because he is locked under Threatening Roar. So on our turn, we're going to go ahead and recharge away that Jane. It no longer clears his only monster, so best thing it can do is dig me towards Heavy Storm. We mill Thunder King and Phoenix Blade. Phoenix Blade would be a good mill had we had a graveyard, but alas, here we are. Yeah, so he's got Geyserus, he's got 2 back row. I can just pass the turn back because I think I need to, unfortunately. I have Space Typhoon, though, so maybe there's something there. Oh, yeah, this turn I think I have DD Warrior Lady, Honest, plus Space Typhoon. So I'm going to summon DD Warrior Lady, and then try to play through a Chariot or a Bottomless or something like that. So I summon DD Warrior Lady. Space Typhoon is most definitely going to be going after the D-Fissure, so I can get value out of my Honest. And then, yeah, we'll see what's up. So it is a little annoying that I'm going to have to put the Geyserus in Grave. Could make something like Call of the Hunter really good, but if he has Call of the Hunter with D-Fissure, then he got me good. So I'm going to attack. There's Light Mirror on the attack, so 2 games in a row, the Light Mirror D-Fissure combo getting us pretty good. Unfortunately, due to the configuration of this deck, I'm not going to be able to show off too many of the combos in this match, but trust me when I say that in the later matches, the combos get good. So, yeah, here comes the Warrior Lady. I'm deciding whether or not to Typhoon the Fissure or the Light Mirror. I think I decided to Typhoon the Light Mirror, and the reason is because I have several light monsters in my hand whose effects I actually kind of like. And I don't have... Like losing the Honest is one thing, but getting the DD Warrior Lady effect is so important here. So I decided to just hope and pray that I will find my Trunade or whatever else that will let me get value from the Honest here. It's possible I should be siding out Honest in this matchup, but especially after seeing D-Fissure, but who knows. Normal Sam Knight. He chuckles to himself after this draw step, if I remember correctly. He attacks for 1,600. He's going to be able to tag out the Sam Knight if he so does choose, and he's going to. I believe he's going to go ahead and grab Laquari. So, big threat in play. D-Fissure in play. Our life total's getting chipped at. But the nice thing about Glads is, if they don't have a Secutor in play, you're not getting OTK'd. Nothing that bad is going to happen to you over the next turn or two. So you have some time to get out of it. I draw for turn. I don't remember exactly what I drew here, but I believe I have some options to try and play into this Laquari. Normal Gareth. So the reason I'm normaling first is because if he has Bottomless, he'll be forced to use it on the Gareth. And then I use Lightning Vortex. Pitching Soul Purity and Light, which is most likely not going to be live for the rest of this game. Laquari gets banished, and now my Gareth is free to connect. I'll try to attack for 1850, and that's actually going to work. So now I've kind of controlled the board in my favor. One of the clutch Lightning Vortexes coming in, getting rid of that pesky Laquari, and now it's all on him to get over this Gareth, and he needs at least a 2-card combination to do it. So special Cyber Dragon, and that's going to be one of the 1 cards that gets over Gareth. So I'm like, damn, I really thought I was out of the woods here, but he's got Cyber Dragon. He attacks over the Gareth. And things are looking tough. I'm not going to lie. He has a back row. He has the biggest monster in play. He has Dimensional Fissure. What could I possibly do to get out of this? Top deck Heavy Storm. How about that? So we've seen a lot of the cards in our deck, and that's going to get rid of the second Light Mirror and the D-Fissure. We're going to be able to then use the cards in our hand. I believe I do have Honest. I think it's Freed and Honest as well. So Freed attacks the Cyber Dragon, and I'll use the Honest to clear the Cyber Dragon. So he's going to take 1,700, and now my hope is just that he's got 1 Laquari banish. He doesn't find a second one. That's pretty much it. A Test Tiger combo could be pretty annoying, but looks like it's just 2 more back row. For me, I have to think here. I decided just to attack with the Freed. I need to turn up the Jets and try to win this. There's a good chance that one of those is like a bluff, like a Space Typhoon or something like that. So it looks like it's 53 to about 26. 2 more attacks, and it's going to close it out. Oh, actually, I think it's a 2850, if I remember correctly, or 2750, because I think I dealt 50 at one point. He's got Smash and Ground to take out the Freed, and he's going to activate an Ancient Forest. Interesting decisions, but I think I maybe would have either held the Ancient Forest with him or just activated the Ancient Forest. However, we find Jane, and Jane is now the dominant force in play. He's thinking on the summon, and he's going to go ahead and torrential on the summon. So Jane's going to die. Then I'm going to activate the Phoenix Blade, banishing the Jade and the Freed. So now we have a discard fodder in our hand for something like Lightning Vortex. And the reason I did that was to play around Laquari, banishing one of my warriors. I draw for turn. He has a new back row. I set a Raikou past the turn, and then here he is kicking himself for activating the Ancient Forest, if I remember correctly. It's very important here that we don't mess this game up, because that's going to be the hard part, right? Like, we don't flip Raikou, and then there's an attack position Raikou for him to tag off of. My set monster is Raikou here. I do think Raikou is okay against Glads, because like sometimes they just don't have Chariot, and then Raikou gets rid of their best card. And that's solid, because they are a deck that has to commit to permanence. Here's Darius. Darius attacks the set monster. Here comes Raikou, and I actually decide to target his... I don't remember what I target here. I think I target his back row, just hoping it's not Chariot. I decided to check his grave. Yeah, I believe I target his back row. Because the Darius can tag out, but it doesn't get any value here. We end up hitting a bottomless trap hole, which is very nice. I mill Honest, Trunade, and Vortex. Unfortunately, I would have liked to draw all of those, honestly, but no pun intended. Darius is going to tag out, and then it's going to get him, I believe, a Laquari here, or a Hoplomus. I don't remember which. I really actually don't remember. Is it a quest? No, there's no way, right? Yeah, it's just Laquari. 2100 Laquari. Scariest threat. He has to see the Banish Zone. I show him the Banish Zone. A lot of monsters fought through on his end, but we still have a relatively threat-dense deck. We've got DDRs, so I think I sided out the Hidden Armories. I may still have one in post-board, but we do have DDR, which gets us a lot of mileage here, especially thanks to that Phoenix Blade. So here's going to be normal summon Freed, and thankfully we milled enough lights to where we can just activate this guy and pop his Laquari. I actually make a pretty big misplay right here. 2 Laquaris are gone, but I didn't factor that he could potentially play a third, and there's definitely a second Cyber Dragon in. So I make a pretty big misplay not equipping the Phoenix Blade. There's really no reason not to do that here, but yeah, I should have equipped it in case there was a third Laquari, but I decided to just pass. So that's a pretty big mistake. I wonder if it's going to bite me. He just sets a monster, passes back to us. We draw for turn. Things are going to get out of control pretty fast if I don't start pressuring him, which is really annoying. But I did find a Raikou, I think, so I decided to just set the Raikou and equip the Phoenix Blade now, because I've... Something that'll happen is, like, I recognize my misplay, like, immediately after, but thankfully we didn't get punished and we're able to correct the course. So, especially when you're like me. Here's Heavy Storm. That's going to blow up Ancient Forest, but this isn't really going to get the job done for him. And now, on our turn, we can draw for turn. We can just normal summon something. Flip Raikou, pop his monster, mill 3, mills Jane, charge, Sopal, and then special summon Sopal and attack for game. So, that's going to be the match. Somehow we were able to take down a very, very hateful Gladiator Beast deck with a lot of floodgates. Yeah, that would have been an interesting one to, how do I say this, see played out had he held the Ancient Forest. I think he would have maybe beaten us had he held the Ancient Forest. So, food for thought. Hold your removal, I guess. But maybe he was forced to play it because he just didn't want to get beat down by the Freed in the meantime. So, it's understandable that he played it there. I don't know. 1-0 in the tournament with the deck. Didn't get to show off some of the combos, but those definitely come up a little bit later. This is match 2. This is going to be up against, I believe, Blackwings from Pedro. He's playing Blackwings, but he has Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer on his side, which just absolutely destroys me in one of the games. So you guys will see one of the weaknesses of this combo deck, and it's Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. We high roll, and I believe I get to go first, which is really nice. So I mess up game one, I think, but I'll try and remember exactly what the circumstances were. I normal summon Lila. I have Heavy Storm in hand. I have Lightning Vortex in hand. I just want to get my mills going, and I mill only one light, which sucks. Because, like, obviously you want to have two lights, you know? And then the one thing that punishes normal summon Lila in this format that's, like, commonly played is normal summon Shura. And unfortunately, he does have that. So that's a Shura. Once again, the glare is bad. I'm so sorry, folks. But yeah, Shura's going to run over Lila and grab Vayu from deck. Now, what I need him to do is Synchro to Catastor because I have a Freed in hand. He attacks for 800. We're going to take that damage as well. And I just want to Freed pop Catastor and then be free, you know? But he decides to set 2 back row and then pass the turn. We have Heavy Storm, so I'm going to be able to pick off that most obvious Icarus attack of all time. The only issue here is going to be Kalut if that comes down, so we'll have to figure that out. I have a Sopal in hand. I do have Freed that I'm eyeing up. I decided to go for Heavy Storm. It's not going to get much better than this. If he does have a draw trap, that sucks, but he doesn't. It's Prison plus Icarus, which is really nice. So just solid 2 for 1, even though he got a +1, +2 on us with the Shura attack. Now we're going to get our plus back with Freed here. Freed is basically a Caius that doesn't take a tribute. It's such a good card, especially in this matchup. And it's one of the best cards in our deck for sure. Freed pops the Shura, and then I decide to attack the Vayu. And he doesn't have Kalut, so Vayu just dies. Or he doesn't choose to use Kalut if he does have it. If he did have Kalut there, he could have used it, but set the back row, pass the turn. Looks like there's a Torrential Tribute in his hand, so he might be trying to set that up. I think I see another Shura as well. I think the back row here is maybe a bluff. I actually don't know. Oh, no, it's return. It's actually return, I think. Yeah, it's return. Oh, I remember exactly what I messed up this game. Oh, dude, this was such a stupid game. Oh, I'm gonna crash out. Hold on. So normal summons Bora. I'm like, okay, that's chill. Bora can exist. No biggies. And then just sets 2 and passes the turn back. We draw for turn. And oh my god, I fucked this game up so badly. Anyway, I go straight to battle phase. I don't normal summon yet because I want to play around Sweepers, Torrential, Mirror Force, and Icarus, of course. If he Icaruses me here, I can always chain the return, and then I'll at the very least be getting a Lila Pop and the Honest back to hand at the cost of, I believe, 3650 life points. So yeah, I have a handful of cards. I go Freed attack. He only has 1 card in hand, which I'm predicting might be Dark Arm Dragon. He decides to book the Freed. So in response to the book, I Chainlink 2 return to play around Torrential Tribute and Bottomless Trap Hole, which works out really well in my favor because he does have those cards. He does have Torrential Tribute in play. And so I don't know why I'm playing around Dad so hard here, because it really is last card Dad that like beats us pretty bad, but last card Blizzard also beats us pretty bad, and there are 3 Blizzards and there's only 1 Dad, so there's really no reason to play around it. However, I just predicted he didn't have Blizzard or Kalut because he let me attack over the Vayu, and he didn't Blizzard on the previous turn. So the return's going to resolve. Lila comes out, and I actually decide not to crash into the Bora because, like I said, I don't predict him to have Blizzard. I just don't predict it. I predict him to actually be in a circumstance where his last card is Dad. So I activate Lila to pop his back row, and I bounce the Honest to my hand. Now I have a couple of plays here that allow me to survive through Blizzard and Kalut. I have several plays that allow me to survive through those. If he has a single Blizzard here, I just die to Bryonic. That's unfortunate, but that's the truth. And he'd have to top deck it, or it would have to be the last card in his hand, so that means he would have had to sandbag it into the situation that was presented to him. I have a Cyber Dragon in my hand. I haven't normal summoned. I can tribute the Lila to normal summon Cyber Dragon. If I do that, then I survive normal summon Blizzard. I can also tribute set the Cyber Dragon, which I think is the best play, because that plays around Crash Bora have Dad, and then it also plays around Blizzard top deck to Bionic and kill me, or Armed Wing and kill me. So what I should have done here, this is a huge game-losing misplay, is I should have tribute set Cyber Dragon tributing the Lila. Just a big mistake. Huge punt. The Lila gets banished. And then, of course, because, why would he not top deck Blizzard? The previous turn, so my read right now is that he doesn't have Kalut or Blizzard. He normal summons the Blizzard. And I'm like, well, fuck me. He needs to mess up now. He needs to miss lethal. He needs to play around Gores or something like that. And the only way you do that is by making Armed Wing. And so he's going to actually do that. He's actually going to play around Gores and make Armed Wing. Instead of going Bionic and going for game, which is the clear win here, he goes for Armed Wing. Now, Armed Wing will be pumped up to 2600 or 2800 when he attacks over the Freed. But this isn't enough damage to kill me. I'm currently sitting at 3550 life points. So he attacks over the Freed. And then I'm going to take 1600 and then 1700, which will drop me to 250. And then I actually have the comeback play. But the previous turn, he had actually top decked Kalut. So it was 2 back-to-back top decks, which had to be specifically this, in order for me to lose the game after his misplay. But had I just tribute set Cyber Dragon, I would have been fine. And I think I would have been able to come out of this situation, because I had a handful of cards, and I have a lot of good top decks, and I'm stable at that point. And Dark Arm Dragon is off the table. Unfortunately, it is what it is. He had 2 back-to-back lucky top decks. He top decked Kalut the turn before, and he top decked Blizzard this turn. And I was like, damn, that sucks. He decided to use the Book of Moon instead of the Kalut when the Freed attacked, so I had no reason to read that there was a Kalut there. I had no reason to read that he would play in that pattern, top decking a Blizzard. I had every reason to believe that his last card was Dad, and that I was dead to top deck Blizzard no matter what. So, unfortunately, that's going to be game 1. We misplayed and misread the situation, and I'm not exactly certain if he should have attacked the Freed with the Kalut, or if he should have just used the Kalut instead of the book. Actually, no, I'm pretty certain he should have used the Kalut instead of the book, because main phase 2, if he's forced to use the Torrential, then it kills his Kalut, but the book is still good. Unless he was predicting to top deck Whirlwind or something like that. Hard to say. Anyway, let's sideboard and get into the next game. So I get to go first, which is nice. We shuffle up and we cut each other's decks. A little bit of spoilers. All right. So I get to go first, which is always nice. I start things off with the Solar Recharge. So I believe it's like 40% of games. Oh, no, it's just normal Jane. End phase, Mill, Solar Recharge, Mill Wolf. For some reason, I thought it was Solar Recharge. It's about 40% of games you start with a live Solar Recharge. But unfortunately for us, we haven't in game 1 or game 2 here. So a couple of 60%ers. Generally speaking, if you lose game 1 and you win with the initiative game 2, your big hope is that you'll have Solar Recharge in game 3 so that you'll be able to retake initiative. Here comes Normal Summon Shura, set 2 back row, and pass a turn. One of those is most certainly Icarus attack. I do have Lila, but I don't really want to make this situation a favorable trade for him. So, yeah, there's a lot to consider. It's probably just attack, I think, might be the play. Or it might be Normal Summon Card Trooper. I think I have Card Trooper in hand here. Sometimes I leave in Card Trooper against Blackwings. Sometimes I side it out. I don't know. Oh, it's Gareth. Okay, so I've got Gareth. I've got 3 monsters that attack over Shura. He's going to go ahead and bottomless Gareth, which gives me a pretty good read that he doesn't have Kalut. So I'm like, okay, last card Icarus. Let's just force it by attacking. And he's probably setting up for a big Blizzard here. That's like his situation. Do we have anything to engage with that? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and attack with the Jane. He's going to go ahead and use the Icarus to clear both our monsters. And then main phase 2, do I commit to permanence? I normal summon the Gareth. Ask him how many cards he has in hand. And I think I just set return. I have a DDR in hand. I think I set return. Do I special Sopal here? No, I don't think I do. I think I just set return. Yeah, set return past the turn. He draws for turn. Interested to see what he drew, but think it's return. I could be wrong. It might be decree. There's Space Typhoon. Oh, it was Space Typhoon. No, it was return. Wow, okay. So Space Typhoon's a return. He left in Space Typhoon. Pretty unfortunate for us. Normal summons Bora, attacks. I really got to make sure the lighting is better for the next vid. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I know some people are going to be in the comments like saying it because they're listening with the audio off or whatever. But yeah, I'll make sure I'm in a better spot for lighting. Normal summon Card Trooper. Card Trooper's going to mill 3. Card Trooper's going to play very well here into Kalut. Had he top decked the Kalut. And lo and behold, we do hit some light monsters, which is nice. One of which is a warrior. I'm going to go ahead and attack the Bora, and he did top deck Kalut, so he's going to use it. We're going to take 1200 damage, and we're going to get to draw a card, so it's a nice little +1. We've been able to grind out the card advantage here, but 5100 is not exactly a happy life total. That being said, it's better than like 3000 or something where Bora plus Kalut can just kill us. So, yeah, we managed to navigate the game to be in a spot where we have great card advantage, and I just decided to pass the turn. He draws for turn. What could he draw that would kill us this turn? Who knows? We shall see. It's normal summon Lila. So it looks like he's side decking Lila as a way to deal with Royal Decree and a way to deal with Consecrated Light. I kind of like that pick because it deals with both Consecrated and Decree with one card. So I think it's a pretty good strategy here from Pedro. And I see in his graveyard that he's got the Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, and I'm like, damn, I'm really happy he didn't draw that. Thankfully, he did summon another monster into the Vortex, so we're just capitalizing a lot on card advantage. And now DD Warrior Lady is going to be met with his last card, which is Bottomless Trap Hole. I DDR back the DD Warrior Lady just to get the damage in. Attack for 1500. I need to close this game out because I'm at 17, and I need to put up defense. I do have last card Honest. He normals Shura. He attacks. I'm going to use my Honest, and he's going to take 1500. He's going to pass the turn back to us. That puts him well over 3 darks for Dad, which is nice as well. I'm checking the grave for things I may or may not have. I think I drew a Phoenix Blade. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I drew Phoenix Blade. Or I might... Yeah, I think I drew Phoenix Blade, and I'm thinking about my Plague options here because I have Plague and Grave. So I just attack for 18 and pass. Phoenix Blade hitting the grave would actually be pretty good for us, which is nice. He just draws 1, passes the turn back. I now have Plague. I have normal Jane, and this just wins the game because he's at 32, and my monsters are both 18. So, yeah, again, not really a game where we get to show off the combos, which, once again, we'll get into that later in the video, I promise, especially the next match. The next match is insane. But in this particular case, it shows how well this deck can grind. Like, Vortex with good pitches, you get good pluses because your monsters are just high strength, and then as long as you dodge, like, power, it's pretty easy to crush people. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Your average card quality is very high, and you get a lot of free pluses. Like, Mill Wolf is a free plus, Free to Activate is a free plus. You get a lot of 2-for-1s with Honest, 2-for-1s with DD Warrior Lady. Jane is just bigger than everything, so you get a lot of +1s on battle. And then Gareth can sometimes plus for you, or you can like get those free pluses with Phoenix Blade and use that to stack resources in your favor for your different dimension reincarnations, your 3 different dimension reincarnations. Anyway, moving into game 3, things are going to be a little bit more tough this game because, like I said, he does have that Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. And it's not an uncommon card to be seen in sideboards. And we do side preparing for it because we saw it in his last game. But he navigates the game pretty well and sticks it at a point where we don't have an out for it. I start off with Solar Recharge, Mill Gores, Mill Jane. Unfortunately, that Gores being gone is pretty telling for the rest of the game. I'm not really a big fan of Gores in this deck anyway. It's a little reactive. I have another recharge, so this is kind of exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you really want to have these recharge draws going second in game 3. It gives you a lot of resources to work with. We have a lot of warriors in the grave. And we do have access to that freed, so as long as we get Sopal DDR going, we can then start popping his monsters pretty freely. He's only got 1 back row going first, which leads me to believe he has a handful of like Sirocco shit. So yeah, I'm gonna Rhoda for Warrior Lady, and then I'm gonna try to Warrior Lady apply pressure. I think that's the safest game here. So there's the Warrior Lady. And Warrior Lady is one of your best cards in this matchup, but it's going to be met with Deep Prison, unfortunately. I thought he would have maybe wanted to get his Sirocco online by leaving the Warrior Lady in play, but he decided to fire off the Deep Prison right away. I am also surprised that he had the Deep Prison set lone turn 1. That's not a common play. He summons Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer and attacks directly for 18. And banishes cards from our graveyard, which is honestly okay. Because I think we do have access to 1 DDR. But we really, really, really want a second DDR here. And I think I just don't have it. And I don't have a way to clear back row either. So it's like, I think I'm pretty restricted on my plays on the next turn. Because I think my hand is like freed, which doesn't work under Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. And yeah, he sets it back row and passes. Draw for turn. I was unfortunately forced to solar recharge away some of my high attack monsters that get over Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. 3 to be exact. I milled a Jane, pitched a Jane, and pitched a Gareth as well, I believe. There's DDR. That's going to pitch Divine Sword, Phoenix Blade. And that's going to go ahead and target, I believe, Gorz the Emissary of Darkness. And really there's nothing I can do here but just attack with this Gorz, because if he has an Icarus, like, forces the, or not Icarus, if he has a Mirror Force, it forces the Mirror Force. And if I summon another card, then I'm just getting fucking blown out by this Mirror Force. So I just had to do this, and he just has Mirror Force, and it's like, okay, well, there was nothing I could have done to deal with that Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. I do have 3 Lightning Vortex in my deck. I do have a lot of monsters to attack over it, but unfortunately, I'm just in kind of a bad spot. I'm going to go ahead and Hidden Armory now. Mill the Space Typhoon. So it appears I do have the DDR, but I don't have a great discard because I can't activate the fucking Phoenix Blade under Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. I remember this game being very frustrating. I DDR back the DD Warrior Lady. He slow rolls me, then OTKs me on my turn. Or on his turn, I believe. That's how this match goes. I'm going to fast forward through it. Yeah, he slow rolls me. Then he goes Black Whirlwind into... oh shit, I clicked the wrong fucking button. God fucking damn it. Is this how I get out of this? How do I get out of this? This is not what we intended, boys. This is not what we intended. Is that looking okay now? Yeah, that should be okay. Alright. Yeah, yeah, he just has Whirlwind plus I think it's Giant Tornado. Bounce the DDR, and then D Warrior Lady dies, and then he searches Kalut, which is exact game, unfortunately. So GG's. Yeah. That was kind of a tough one. That Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer backfooted us a little bit, and as a result, I wasn't able to make a double play because of specifically Mirror Force. So I don't know. It was just a weird game. Weird game. I don't know if I could have sequenced it differently. Maybe I could have set the Warrior Lady and just like forced him to run the Sirocco into it and like guarantee the banish. There was a lot of stuff I maybe could have done differently that game. I think that setting DD Warrior Lady, there's always a consideration for that, especially against Blackwings. It's definitely worth reflecting on that game, but absolutely is worth reflecting on the first game where you had the top deck Kalut into top deck Blizzard. That game, I think if I just tribute set Cyber Dragon and then understand that if he has Blizzard, I lose no matter what to Dad. So it's just stay alive in case he doesn't have Dad. So, yeah, I think that was the big mistake game 1. And if I had just won that game 1 through the mistake, then it should have been no issue winning game 2. Or at least one of the ones out of the next 2. Anyway, that puts us at 1-1. We're moving on to face off against our next opponent, Chris, who is someone I've played against on the channel before. He's a pretty strong player. I think the last time I played him, he was playing Amaryllis. I don't remember. But this time he's playing a very different deck. He's playing Hero Beat, and he loses a die roll. So we go for Solar Recharge, pitch Wolf. I've now drawn Wolf twice, but I did mill it once. So, can't complain too much. And both times I drew it. This deck has a healthy amount of conversions. 10, I believe, between 3 DDR, 3 Hidden Armory, 3 Solar Recharge, and Lumina. And 2 more, 12 actually, with 2 Lightning Vortex. So drawing 1 Wolf is not the end of the world. Normal summons Alias. Alias attacks a set monster. I'm like, okay, are we going to damage here or what's the deal? And he's like, yes. Okay, Raikou pop Alias. Hero Blast is now online. And the Raikou does mill Plague, so can't complain. Again, just hit one of the guys in our deck and feels pretty good, actually. So I've got normal summon Lila. That's going to be met with Bottomless Trap Hole. Lila's going to get banished. Sucks to be me, but alas, what can we do? He's like, can I see that new Starfoil Rare Lila? And I'm like, absolutely. The new OCG Starfoils are really cool. They're like 3D. I showed them in a video recently, I believe. Anyway, fucking shit. What is happening here? What am I thinking about? I see a DD Warrior Lady in my hand. I normal Lila. I must have like a DDR heavy hand or something. I just pass. I figured he bottomless the Lila. That means he probably doesn't have Hero Blast. So I'll see what he wants to do. Here comes a normal Ocean. Ocean attacks for 15. I think I have a Vortex in hand, so I'm kind of like just chilling, thinking about Vortexing this Ocean, depending on how things go down. There's Hidden Armory. Mills Heavy Storm. Unlucky, but it is what it is. Grab the Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. I really like Phoenix Blade. I, once again, wish I was playing multiple copies because milling it is just so powerful. And it enables basically all of your crazy combo turns. This turn I'm going to probably just use it as discard fodder for the Lightning Vortex. Most likely. Because, like I said, it's a lot like Plasma Freeze Execute. Let's see what the opponent is about. What am I thinking about, dude? Man, I'm playing this deck so slowly, it's kind of cringe. We must have been having a conversation or something like that. Moving forward in time. Man, I'm really thinking about that Lightning Vortex. I have a lot of options, clearly. This is the point in the game when you have like 6 cards where the decisions really matter. Because later in the game, you have less decisions. There's less to think about. But earlier in the game, when you have like 10, makes me really happy I didn't DDR back the Lila, because I was considering that. I remember that. And then he proactively flips the Legacy, and I'm like, damn, I'm so happy I didn't fucking DDR back Lila and then try to hit the fucking Legacy. Alias is going to connect for 19. We drop to 46. He sets a new background, passes. I have a small read that the background behind the Alias is Gemini Spark, but then that's immediately turned off by this Trap Dot Shoot. So now you can see the hand. You can kind of get an idea of what's happening here. We've got DDR plus Freed plus all the resources in the world to deal with what's going on here. But we do need to play through Honest. That's the one thing that's kind of like can be scary. He decides to take the Freed, which makes sense. Freed is the best card here. Freed is just auto +1 Monarch style on the summon. So that card gets put back into the deck. I've got a couple of lines here, but they basically all start with bring back Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, I believe, and then DDR back Lila, pitching the... I guess I have to get a second warrior in the grave. Yeah, Lila pops the D Prison. There is the... Huh. Oh man, I played this turn so ass. I must not have been thinking straight. Banish Wolf, Banish Raikou, Special Summon Sopal. Oh, maybe it's not ass. Normal Summon Warrior Lady. Maybe this is fine. Do I not have another warrior? I thought I had another warrior. I could be wrong. I could at this point stack my deck for play using the Phoenix Swing, or not Phoenix Swing, Phoenix Blade. Attack through the Alias, banish this guy. I really do think that there's a deck out there that can like just spam discards like Phoenix Swing, Wind Blast and stuff, and Phoenix Blade. I think there's a resource deck out there that could definitely be viable in Edison format, because just a little bit of use that I've gotten out of Phoenix Blade in this deck has felt really good. Looking at his hand, he has E-Call, Bottomless, and Mirror Force, so pretty strong hand. He's going to go ahead and E-Call for Stratos. Stratos get Captain Gold and get the Skyscraper to run over the Soul Empyrean Light. So things look tough, right? Things look tough. So here comes Stratos. Stratos is going to search the Captain Gold. As you guys know, Captain Gold's going to get the Skyscraper. And then he's going to be able to run over the Sopal pretty much free of charge. So there's the Captain Gold. There's the Skyscraper. Stratos, there's not much to think about here. Runs over the Sopal. Goes up to 2,500 attack. So he gains 15. Sets his bottomless, sets the Mirror Force. Passes the turn back. I draw for turn. I believe I draw Return from the Different Dimension. Which, if you know, is a fucking insane card. And you guys are going to get to see one of the crazy combos here. So far, we've played basically every losing exchange. I go ahead and activate Divine Sword Phoenix Blade and activate Plague Spreader Zombie to try and bait one of these back row out. So, stack the Divine Sword because I want to make sure Plague gets banished for the return next turn. Synchro into Yugioh Guardian because if I get met with Bottomless, then once again, I want to make sure that Yugioh Guardian gets banished for next turn. And because of the Divine Sword that he knows about, he's probably going to want to banish this Yugioh Guardian to cut me off of resources since it is a warrior. I go ahead and set Return from the Different Dimension and pass the turn back. He attacks for 18. We take 18. No big deal. And this is where the fucking craziest return of my life ever happens. So we're going to go ahead and activate Return. Pay 950, so we are at 950. From here, we get to bring back just about any monster we want from our banished pile. This is part of the reason why you play this style of deck, is so that you can resolve this card. We get to bring back Freed, which is auto +1, Wolf, which is big boy. We're going to bring back Yugioh Guardian and Plague as well. So there's Jane, I think. Is it Jane? Jane makes sense. Plague and Yugioh Guardian. Perfect. So, from this point, we now have a Plague that we can use twice. We have a Monster Pop, which we're going to use with priority. So, Freed with priority on the summon of these monsters. Banishing Raikou and Sopal to pop Stratos. That is going to resolve. So we get 5 monsters, 1 Monster Pop. Then I'm going to synchro with the Plague and the Jane. Important, because that gets our first warrior in the grave. Synchro with the Plague and the Jane into Bryonic. I think about this for a very long time. To be fair, it's a very complicated line. So I'm going to synchro with Plague and Jane into Bryonic. And then I'm going to use Bryonic to pitch the Phoenix Blade to bounce my own Freed. Because stacking Freed on top of my deck for Plague will give me an extra use of the Phoenix Blade in the grave. And it will also set me up to have the best possible follow-up, which is top deck Freed on the next turn, in the case that my game shot doesn't go through. So, I have 1 warrior in the grave. I then use Bryonic, pitching the Phoenix Blade to bounce my own Freed. So it's gotten me 5 monsters, 1 Monster Pop, follow-up of Freed, which is the best card in my deck. Go ahead and stack that Freed for the Plague Spreader Zombie. I check the grave. Let's see what's in that boy. What's in that guy? What do we got down there? Got anything crazy? Nothing too crazy. He can Miracle Fusion. That's pretty crazy. Go ahead and stack for Plague. So there's a Freed on top of my deck. Best possible follow-up. I can now synchro with the Plague and the Yugioh Guardian to get the warrior in the grave for Stardust Dragon. And I can take a 50-50 on a potential Mirror Force. Now, I did read that his other back row from the previous turn was not Mirror Force because he spent Bottomless on the Yugioh instead of Mirror Force. I decided to Bryonic, pitch, hit the new one, and then attack with Wolf. And he's going to be forced to use the Mirror Force here. Stardust is going to trade with that. So I get the read kind of wrong. I don't get to go for the game shot. But we've set ourselves up in the best possible position. We attack with the Wolf and the Bryonic. I'm going to go ahead and bring back Stardust in attack position. Normally, I'd bring back Stardust in defense position because of the risk of Absolute Zero crash. However, with Bryonic in play, Absolute Zero is going to be 3,000 anyway. So, on my turn, I can do whatever it is I need to do to deal with that shit. You get the vibes. Anyway, he top decks. He finds a second card for his hand. Is it Miracle Fusion? Can you have a top deck that counters my insane return from the different dimension, by the way? The fact that we were able to use the Phoenix Blade twice there and find that utility to set up the top of our deck using Plague with the follow-up is very nice. He does have Elemental Hero Ocean, which is going to be strong enough to attack with the Bionic thanks to the Skyscraper. And now I do have Freed on top of my deck, which doesn't pop the Ocean, but it will get over this Ocean and threaten lethal. So we're going to attack over that. And then I decide, fuck it, we ball, start us attack. If it's Deep Prison, then you got me. But it's not, and we're going to win that one. And somehow, off of the craziest return, pull a pretty insane turn out of that. That was a really fun game, and it kind of shows off what this deck was intending on trying to do. Granted, this is not Shed, so we're not getting that every single game. A lot of the time, it's just going to be a free Jane grind game, basically, or like Lightning Vortex on an overcommitment type thing. But in this instance, we were able to pull off a really, really sick combo. So, yeah, glad I got to showcase that. Moving into the next game. It's kind of hard to figure out what you want to side deck in this matchup. I think I just brought in Cyber Dragon, a couple decrees, and we decided to go into the next game. He starts off with 2 set cards going first, and then I start off with, I believe, set Raikou. I probably could have set DD Warrior Lady here. I thought about setting Warrior Lady just to banish Alias, not have to deal with it, that sort of shit, but alas, here comes Special Cyber Dragon. That's pretty good against us, but we have our own Cyber Dragon, so we can contact. This is going to be the game where I will show you guys that the second Chimera Tech actually does come up quite a bit. Raikou's going to activate. I'm just going to hit one of the back row. Because it's in the damage step, he can't chain that Legacy of Yatagarasu. Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings, am I right, folks? We mill 3 Lightsworns, 2 Warriors, best possible. Or not 3 Lightsworns, 2 Lightsworns, 2 Warriors. Great mill. That last back row is going to be kind of annoying, but I'm going to force the issue. Here's Cyber Dragon. Am I going to be able to contact here? And it looks like I'm going to be able to contact, make a 2,000 Dark Monster in Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. And I do believe I have a lot of good plays in my hand. We're going to attack for 2,000, so yeah, Cyber Dragon, when it eats a machine, feels like one of the best cards in the format. There's Hidden Armory, we haven't normal summoned. We mill a second Cyber Dragon, and so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. We're going to grab DDR. There's a lot of opportunity for us to make a second Chimera Tech if we're able to summon multiple Cyber Dragons back from the grave, that sort of thing. I put a few dice there just to make sure that Chimera Tech, we know that it's 2K. He summons his second Cyber Dragon, so both of us seeing multiple Cyber Dragons is cool. Attacks over the Chimera Tech, we take 100. He sets a new back row and a monster and passes the turn. Usually when Hero Beat sets a monster, it's Snowman Eater, but I have seen them play a variety of different things. It's not always Snowman Eater. Usually it's Snowman Eater, but not always. So factoring that in, we decide to go for, I believe, Solar Purity and Light, which I am eyeing up in my hand. I've also got Rhoda. I've got a few options here. I could do some cool shit. I decide to go for, looks like Rhoda. Rhoda for Freed will get us the auto +1 that we are looking for, which is nice. Freed is just so insane in this deck. I actually think, like, there's probably a Lightsworn variant that just plays 3 Freed because it's like a themed Kaius. It's just such a good card. Obviously, it's bad into Kaiku, which is like one of the best cards against Lightsworn, but outside of that, it's fucking crazy. So Freed, normal summon, auto +1, just pop the guy. It's almost like a, I don't know, it feels like a modern card a lot of the time when it's resolving. It feels like something kind of ridiculous, like just pop a large monster on summon is crazy for a 4-star. Yeah, so we get a couple in the banish zone. I banish another Freed, and then I'm going to banish, I believe, double Sidra here. I leave Jane for Lumina. No, I banish Jane and Sidra. I maybe should have banished double Sidra because Jane is better in the grave for, specifically for Phoenix Blade. And I set a back row on pass. I decide he can't attack over Freed as long as Solar Purity and Light is in play because it diminishes his monster's attack. And if I remember correctly, my back row is Royal Decree or Return. So one of those two is going to be crazy. Normal Summon Plague, Synchro with the Solar Purity and Light. That's going to make Stardust. Now the remainder of our plays are going to be pretty safe from this point on. What do I do? I think I banished you. Do I have another Solar Purity and Light? Holy shit. He's comboing. He's going crazy. Stack for Plague, probably. I'm looking at my hand. I think I have DDR Vortex. So I just stack one of those for Plague. I should stack one for Plague because I can make Thought Ruler with this Sopal. And then I have Thought Ruler plus Stardust, which is generally pretty good. Go ahead and stack my card for Plague. I don't know why I'm thinking about this so much. Maybe it's because I know in hindsight like how this deck works, but this is my first tournament with it, so I was just kind of figuring it out in the moment. And when you're kind of custom comboing like this deck likes to do, it sometimes takes a minute to like think. But yeah, here comes Thought Ruler. Thought Ruler's going to attack the set. Doesn't matter what it is. Maybe we'll gain some life points too, which is pretty cool. So Thought Ruler attacks. This plays through everything, you know. Looks like it's going to be Ocean, so I'll gain 15. So thankfully it wasn't even a Snowman Eater, but yeah, it ended up working out pretty well. I think I decided to attack with Freed as well, which drops him down to 43. And then I attack with Stardust. He flips D-Prison, and I'm like, well, shit. I guess I'll just return in the battle phase. Returning back Stardust is so fucked up, dude. Unfortunately, I don't think we have 4,300 coming back off the return. Even if I had brought back double Cyber Dragon, it only would have been 4,200. Factoring in that Stardust will probably have to negate something here. So we're always going to get Plague, because I want to end with as many monsters as possible. So we're always going to get Plague. And I believe we get Jane. No, Sopal. Looks like it's going to be Sopal. So, interesting choices. I decided to not attack. I attack with the Plague. He bottomlesses on the summon. We chain Stardust. That means the Stardust is now safe, back in circulation. Attack for 2k with the Sopal. Main phase 2, I do have a DDR in my hand too, so even if my board gets broken, I have DDR to rebuild. We go ahead and synchro with the Sopal. There's got to be a way to play this deck, man. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, there's got to be a way to play this deck that's just like absolutely crazy. I like the way it is now. It's like kind of low to the ground, but I was finding myself siding out a lot of Light Sworns and stuff. I just make Colossal in attack and then special summon Stardust in defense, because then he can't crash Absolute Zero with it. And that way, if he wants to crash Absolute Zero, then Stardust can negate the Absolute Zero effect, or if he wants to spend his turn running over the Stardust, then we're just going to win. But looks like we're going to win anyway. That's going to be game. We ended up synchro summoning, I believe, 4 or 5 times that game, which is pretty cool. This deck goes crazy. When it pops off, it like does some really cool stuff. And this match really showed off like some of the cool things, some of the concepts I had in place for this. Now the last match, I only have 14 minutes of this match, 15 minutes of this match recorded. It's up against Dylan, who's a strong player. He's topped RBET before. He's on Blackwings, and he, I believe, wins the die roll? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think he wins the die roll. He summons Shura, sets back row, passes the turn back. We draw for turn. I don't know what we've got going on here. Looks like Charge of the Light Brigade. Mills Plague, Gareth, and Sopal. So a really good mill. We milled a Warrior and a Plague. Yeah, I think in this match, my camera died, so I only have the first 15 minutes of it. I really hope that it recorded all of Game 2. I haven't checked. Because Game 2 was cool. Game 1 was cool too. Game 1 was a really cool one. Both of these games are pretty good. So I'm really hoping it got all of Game 1 and Game 2, because there were some unique, like, once-in-a-lifetime things that happened in these games. But unfortunately, my camera was dying while I was spending 800 years thinking about my set Raikou or whatever the fuck this is. I don't know what I said here, but yeah. So this game, Dylan kind of just makes a fuck it play, because he sees that I'm on Lightsworn, and he wants to just shove damage before I can get a chance to mill. He doesn't know necessarily that we're on some like freakish main deck Vortex abomination. So he makes an interesting play where he goes normal Blizzard for no value, synchro into Bryonic, pitch, I believe, Sirocco or Vayu. Pitches Sirocco, Then specials Dad for no effects. So he goes -2 to set up 5100 damage, that's a shitload of damage. Like, that is very good. And then he sets another back row. So he's in a good position. Like, this is a very fucking good position. One thing he could have done was bounce his own Dark Armed with Bryonic to really, really ensure that he can kill me on the next turn. But I am at 2900, not 2800. I do think that there's always consideration to, like, bounce your own Dark Armed. I'm not saying he should have done it, but obviously now that he knows that there's Vortex in my deck, maybe that might have been something he wanted to consider. Here comes Lightning Vortex, discarding Card Trooper. Card Trooper's just going to be too slow this game, and it's going to cost me too many life points, so that guy's getting pitched. Unfortunately, we don't have a Phoenix Blade in my hand, so I'm not able to discard something that high value. I believe I banished 2 lights to special summon Soul of Purity and Light. So there's Garroth and Sopal banished. Very lucky mills for me, milling 2 lights, so I'm able to even make this play. I'm able to summon Sopal and get my Banish Zone kind of popping. Gareth isn't exactly a great DDR target, but it'll work in a pinch, I guess. I think maybe this deck wants Celestia or something like that. I'm not really sure. I tried it with Caius at first, but I found Caius was slowing things down a little too much. There's Bottomless Trap Hole on the Sopal. So looking at my hand, I have a lot of cards. I have some options. I'm sure I have some options. I haven't normal summoned yet this turn. He's got 2 cards remaining. I decided to just set what I believe is Raikou, if I remember correctly, and pass the turn back. Now, if he has another Blizzard, this is fucked up, but if he doesn't have another Blizzard, then we're kind of chilling. There's Solar Recharge, Pitch Jane, and because of the way his body language was here, I end up milling that return, which sucks. I have a strong read that his back row is actually Legacy of Yatagarasu. So I'm going to normal summon DD Warrior Lady and just attack for 15. DD Warrior Lady is one of the best cards against Blackwings. It applies pressure, and it ensures that they can't stick an anchor monster. His Bryonic and his Dad are gone, which is 2 of the 3 ways he has to out main deck DD Warrior Lady. He flips Legacy of Yatagarasu, draws into something. Let's see what he's got. He's got 4-card hand here. Can he piece together 2,900 points of damage? It's not super hard for him to do that. All it takes is Blizzard Kalute, because he can make Armed Wing and then use the Kalute to pierce over the Raikou. But there's only so much I can do, you know? Like, if he has it, he has it. Like, he went for that big aggressive push early, and he has combinations of draws that do defeat us here. So he's going to go ahead and Brain Control. So he finds his 3rd main deck out to the DD Warrior Lady. Pretty unlucky, but it probably means no damage for me this turn. I'm going to Raikou target the Warrior Lady. He's going to activate the DD Warrior Lady's effect to banish both. And I'm going to mill 3 cards here. So both are going to get banished. We're going to mill 3. We mill Lila, Armory, and Lila. So unfortunately, no Phoenix Blade. Unfortunately, no Warriors. Kind of in a tough spot. And he's got a couple back row I need to fight through, which is always annoying. But this deck does pretty well into back row just because of DDR. And it looks like I've got Heavy Storm. Unfortunately for us, he did top deck Starlight Road. So it's just rough. That's just a rough one, you know? Like, Brain, Starlight Road was the draws off of Draw off Return and Draw off Legacy, and I'm just like, wow, that fucking sucks. Because I was pretty confident in my ability to close this game out from this point if that Heavy Storm resolved. Unfortunately, it didn't resolve. I'm forced to use the Freed. He'll chain the Stardust. I just get 2 for 1 really, really hard, and I'm left defenseless. He has all the initiative. He sets a card in his back row and then blind allures. So he's playing this game so aggressively. I think it's because we're tired. It's a late night tournament, that sort of thing. He banishes Gale, flips double Whirlwind, and normal Shura. And I just scoop the game. So, fucking insane game. He had double Whirlwind, Dad, fucking Brain Control. Like, basically every perfect card. Which, that's tough. He also had Gale, you know. It's like, that's tough. He hit not only Gale, but another monster off the Allure, which is another limited card. Oof. Difficult game. Difficult game. And a tough one to lose. It was one where I felt we were really pulling back. And had I drawn like a Lila or something like that, I could have maybe Lila'd into his back row before Heavy Storming. There was a bunch of different things that could have gone in my favor that just didn't line up right. And The main deck Vortex did look good. We didn't find our Phoenix Blade, so we didn't have great resources going. We milled our return, which sucks. We didn't have like much DDR stuff going on, and so we were just kind of stuck with a bunch of normal summons in hand there at the end. And unfortunately, we got out-tempoed that game, and yeah, we took a big hit early on. So maybe this deck needs something like Battle Fader or Threatening Roar in the main. I'm not really sure as a way to combat that type of play. Normally people don't play like that, but it's still good to have some sort of defense. I tested Necrogardna when I was initially putting the list together, but I kept drawing it. I didn't like drawing it. It's a great mill, obviously, but drawing it is cringe. It's just not a good draw. It's not a bad draw, but it's not great. Like I said, you have a lot of ways to discard things earlier on. It's still not great when you draw Necrogardna and you pitch it and you need a light in the grave for fucking Sopal or Freed and it's a dark. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe Necrogardna is what you need in this deck. Who knows? I don't think it would have really come up in any of these cases. It would probably occupy the Wolf slot, if anything, and milling Wolf is just so much better than milling Necro. Anyway, we side deck here, which takes way too long. I'm really hoping I got this. I start off with T-Set, Healer of Darknesses. Oh, you're telling me I didn't get the rest of this match. He banishes Dad. That's how you know it's going to be a good match. When your opponent allures and they banish Dad, you're like, oh shit. Yeah, it's looking like my camera died in this one. We both had slow starts in this game. And we both played draw go for several turns. Like we both played draw go, I think, for 4 turns. Because I had like 2 Vortex and a DDR. And then he had like a bunch of weird reactive cards, including Gores. So here comes Shura. Shura attacks. Here's Warrior Lady. Warrior Lady activates and banishes the Shura. Now I can play into Gores, but then I have to Vortex. And I'd prefer to get 2 summons on the turn I have to play into Gores instead of just 1. So I'd prefer to find a normal summon, but I don't find a normal summon. And he wants to get value out of his Gores, so he's playing slow as well. And it was just such a cool game because we built up resources. And then it inevitably came down to me winning with like a crazy like DDR freed loop. Which involved me using Phoenix Blade like 3 times in the same turn. But I used it to like stack for Plague, and then I like milled it off a Hidden Armory or something like that, and then I brought it back and then used it as a pitch for Bionic. It was really cool, but alas, the camera died, and you can see here that we don't get to finish what would have been a beautiful game. Damn. I may have to upload some more with this deck. I think it's really sweet. I got to show off some of the combos in the last game. Actually, you know what? I may have a match with it on Dueling Book. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got on Dueling Book. I may have a match with it on Dueling Book that I can show you guys. Pause Champ? Special bonus match? Oh my gosh. Okay, go to Dueling Book. The computer's just not listening to me right now. It's just giving up. It's giving up all hope. Abandon all hope. Isn't that a Magic the Gathering card? I gotta close some of these tabs. They seem very data intensive. What can I say? Alas. Dude, everything is like not happy with me. Eventually one of these days I'm going to need to do like a subathon or something to get a new computer, because I'm operating on, I think, 2013 machinery, and it's almost 13 years old, and yeah, there's only so much you can do once your hardware starts giving up. Okay, looks like we're logging in a Dueling Book. Let me just resize real quick, make sure we have the accurate size. Believe that this might be good enough. There we go. That should be good enough. I don't remember if it was on this account, but it might be on this account. We shall see. I think it was this match. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, it was this match. So this is a little bonus match. This is one of the testing matches. that I did. I was testing it on across a couple accounts, so you guys can get a good idea of like what this deck looks like in more than just the 4 tournament games. I ended up going 2-2 at the local tournament. Not a great record. However, I attribute the first loss to my own mistake. So I would have ended 3-1, which is a pretty respectable record. So here comes a turn 1 Future Fusion plus Dad. We are going to lose this game. He hits me with the thinking emote, thanks for 5 million years, then drops Dad. And I'm just like, what were you thinking about? Anyway, moving into the next game. I know my opponent's playing dragons with Dark Arm Dragon, and we start off with Dushu, which is nice. This hand is really good. It's got Recharge, it's got the Hidden Armory, it's got the Divine Sword. And in this testing match, I am playing 2 Divine Sword instead of the Wolf. I Recharge, pitch Chain, draw 2, mill 2. And then I set the Dust Shoot, set the Warrior Lady, flip the Dust Shoot in the draw phase. And you'll see he's playing Shed. So it's Shed versus Hidden Armory Sopal. It's funny, it's Hidden Armory DDR Mirror. However, it looks like he's altered the build and made it worse. Return is not played in the other build because it's slow. You don't need it. Your monsters are big enough and they bring other monsters back, so you just use DDR. And then Decree, I think, was sided, so he probably just sided that in the dark. Generally speaking, though, Trunade and Trag are 2 cards that you side out in Shed when playing the deck, especially in the dark. But we're forced to take Trag here because that's going to stop any pressure. He's got Rhoda for Stratos, which is actually pretty interesting because Stratos is going to run into the DD Warrior Lady, get banished, and then he's going to be able to return it back. So he's going to have some play here. Stratos grab Malicious. But his hand is more or less completely bricked. I'm assuming he's going to set return before setting the Decree. He attacks into the Warrior Lady. The Warrior Lady is going to banish his guy. And then, he's going to set the Decree and not the return and pass the turn back. I'm actually really surprised he didn't set the return here because return back Stratos is just so good for him on the next turn. So I'm really, really shocked by that. But that means I do get to normal summon Lila and blow up his back row. And I do have an idea of what's going on in his hand now. I know that he has to wait another turn before getting to use that return. I know the other 3 cards are completely dead. I banish 2 cards, special summon Sopel, attack for 2k, just to start applying some pressure, and phase mill 3 more. Try to get enough for Freed, but unfortunately do not. He top decks fucking Morphing Jar, which is ridiculous. So he sets, passes a turn back, and I'm like, I know the 2 sets are Return and Trunade. So it's a 50-50 on me trying to pop one. I can, I don't think I have a way to pop one even. I'm not sure. I might. Hidden Armory, mill Freed, search DDR. Go ahead and DDR, pitch the Blade, bring back Honest. Sopal attacks into Jar. Unfortunately, I should have read something like this, but alas, I didn't. Jar is also not a card I think I played. I might have cited it, but thankfully we did leave the Honest in play before running into this, whatever it was. And he's able to draw 5 new cards. We attack for 11. He's got his DDR online with the Dasher play. He's got Cyber Dragon as well, which is pretty good here. We can then Hidden Armory, grab another DDR. Trying to burn all the Hidden Armories on the same turn. We've got 2 Warriors down for the Divine Sword. Morphing Jar actually might be pretty good in our deck as well, just to pick up multiple DDRs to be able to go for Game Shot. Something I considered, as well as Royal Decree. I go ahead and DDR out Jane, stack for Plague, go ahead and Phoenix Blade back the Phoenix Blade. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to make Bryonic to get the Plague in the Banish Zone, bounce his back row, and try to hit that return so he can't return me on the next turn. I just 50-50 it and I hit the return. But that's the reason I'm doing this. And then next turn I now have the return initiative, but he's gonna Trunade me. So it's like, then I lose the return initiative, but at least I'll have Bryonic in play. So if he can't for some reason out the Bryonic that's in play, then maybe I can find the initiative again. Anyway, I go ahead and Bryonic pitch, bounces other back row, set the return. I actually I forgot that I pitched and bounced both, but I guess that makes sense because I kind of have to in order to not get returned. So yeah, pass the turn back. After milling 2, I have Honest in hand. I should survive the cycle and be able to return for game. He goes ahead and activates the Lair of Darkness, draws 2, finds Red Eyes, banishes the Dasher. So in his hand here, he doesn't have, I don't know. It's tough. He needs to D-draw first. Let's see what he has. So he D-draws first, pitches Mally. I actually would not have banished the Dasher here. I would have banished the Red Eyes. Because you actually need the Mally in hand in case you find Plague. Let's see if he finds Plague. He finds DDR. Yeah. He should have banished the Dasher because then he could DDR back Red Eyes. Red Eyes special out the Wyvern that he pitched. He can still kind of do that because he can banish these for some Morg. It's not a bad spot to be in if you're him. He goes ahead and Trunates. Bounces back the cards. Jane's going to get burned. He banishes, brings out some more. DDR, pitches DDR, specials Red Eyes, attacks Bryonic. Bryonic, it's going to fall. Should have attacked the Sopal first, maybe, in case I don't use the Honest for whatever reason. But, alas, he attacks over the Sopal. I am going to use the Honest because I fucking have to. And in this circumstance, he ends with much worse follow-up. The Wyvern is banished. Yeah, he just played this horribly. He should have banished the Red Eyes off of the... Because Red Eyes is free with DDR as long as you're pitching a dragon. So he should have banished the... He should have banished the Red Eyes off of Allure, then DDR'd back the Red Eyes, pitching Wyvern, and then run over the Bryonic and brought back the Wyvern in defense. And that would have been a much better play for him. And he would still have the Dasher as well. He could even, like, sack for the Dasher or whatever. Yeah, no, he would have had a much better... He would have had the Dasher in Grave due to the D-draw, pitching Dasher. Oh, yeah. No, he played this horribly. Missed, like, 3 different things. Sets back row, and then, yeah, passes the turn back to us. We draw into Lila, which is pretty good. Going to go ahead and activate the Phoenix Blade. That's going to give us free DDR access. So, just getting free discards is so good in any deck. Normal Lila, attempt to hit one. I hit a Decree. I know for a fact his middle back row is now return, so I have to force the return this turn. I pitch the Blade, bring back the Freed. Freed banishes, pops the Samorg. I attack here. This is lethal damage if he doesn't activate that return. He does activate the defensive return. He activates Stratos' effect to blow up the back row. He's going to blow up the DDR and pop the Freed. I go ahead and set my return. I go to the end phase. I mill 3 cards. And now I have the return initiative, and he has no wins in his grave for the Samorg that he top decks. He can special summon the Cyber Dragon, but he's just dead on board to the Soul of Purity and Light. And, yeah, he's going to forget that we make him lose attack. I would have let him switch the attack targets there because I just wanted to get accurate testing. So that's why I said I would have let him switch, but he just conceded way too fast. Moving on. We were able to pull that one back. I think partially due to the opponent's misplays and not understanding how Shed works and how the follow-up works in that deck, and partially due to us finding some pretty good cards off of the opponent's Morphing Jar. He starts off, he has an insane hand. He gets to go first. He's got Future Fusion yet again. He calls for Stratos. Normals the Stratos here, which is usually not what you want to go for. Yeah, it's usually not what you want to go for. I think his best play is maybe get Stardust down this turn and then activate Future Fusion. It's probably his best play. It's probably Normal Stratos. I guess he could... No, wait, he needs Mally. He searches Mally off of the Stratos. Never mind, he can't do that. He can't do that. Yeah, he doesn't have another Dark. He doesn't have another Dark to pitch to Dark Grepher, so he would have to pitch special to Grepher and then... Yeah, I don't know. I'm trolling. I clearly don't understand what's going on here. He summons Stratos. He searches Mally to set up the Stardust play for the next turn. He doesn't have a dragon to reveal to Drago. He sided in the Power Pickaxe. It's not very good in this matchup. He sided in Soul Release. Also not very good in this matchup, but maybe he's anticipating Christia, JD, that sort of thing. The nice part about this deck is it does make people misboard against you. The only card that really does punish you that also punishes regular Lightsworn is Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. He's going to go ahead and Future Fusion. He can't Wyvern this turn, so it gives us a little bit of an initiative to make something happen. We go ahead and charge the Light Brigade, mill 3. We hit no lights, which is awful. It means no Sopal for us. We search Jane. I'm going to go ahead and summon Jane, attack over the Stratos, deal 300, end phase mill 2, and we hit 2 lights, thankfully, including a Freed, which is going to be crucial for us to get our engine going, basically. He goes ahead and end phase, activates, brings out 1 Red Eyes. He brings out only 1 to play around Lightning Vortex, I think he saw in the last game, or Brain Control. I'm not exactly certain. He might also be bringing out only one to play around Celestia or to force Celestia. So I don't hate the play of only bring out one Red Eyes, but there are maybe better ways to approach this circumstance, right? Like maybe try to trade your Drago with an Honest, and the next turn you get the 5-headed dragon. Like that seems pretty good to me. I think spending a Red Eyes here, I don't know. It's not bad, but if the Drago does survive, yeah, I guess you don't have a dragon. I don't know. That's a weird one. That is a weird one. All right, I normal Lila, special summon Soul of Purity and Light. Go ahead and Vortex away the Red Eyes that's in our face. I am going to attack with everything to play around Gores. I know his deck does play Trigodia, so this is kind of scary. In the main phase 2, I'm able to break the Future Fusion to not have to deal with that. End phase, I get a mill 5, I mill 2, and then mill 3. There's consideration to Rhoda for Freed beforehand, just to make sure that I don't mill it. But I actually wouldn't have minded milling it because I had the Divine Sword. So, yeah. He draws Trag the turn after. Pretty unlucky. He's going to summon Dark Grepher, pitch the Mally, send the Plague. Activate the Mally, bring out the Mally, stack for Plague. What did he stack? Morphing Jar? That doesn't seem right. He's going to make Darkened Dragon. Darkened Dragon's pretty good here. Builds up the Sopal. Attacks into the Honest. Which, if you're looking at right now, if he can't out this Jane, he takes 1800 and then Jane is 400 over the Grepher. So he needs a DDR, or like Trigodia in this instance, to be able to get the Grepher out of play so that he doesn't die to the Jane. He's going to special Trag, attack over the Lila, and then main phase 2 pitch to steal the Jane. But after he passes the turn, he's dead on board to Rhoda for Jane and attack over the Dark Grepher. So, pretty cool matchup. I think there's a lot of back and forth. We were able to navigate a turn 1 Future Fusion, turn 1 Stratos. I think he played the game kind of weird. Maybe he could have brought out Red Eyes turn 1. That would have been much harder. That would have been much harder for me to deal with. I think turn 1 Red Eyes, then turn 1 Stratos plus Future. He maybe gave up a little bit too much initiative there. I'm not sure though. I'm really not sure. And then also siding in Soul Release and like Power Pickaxe is like kind of not the best. They both did nothing. I don't know. It is cool to see people playing Shed because it's a very similar deck to the deck that I'm playing, and it's also a really complicated deck that I think is very fun and has a lot of depth to it. So let me know what you guys think of this video and stuff in the comments below, and I'll see you guys at RBET Denver this weekend. Peace.